BJ, I got a fun one for you. Lions go to Houston to play the Texans. The Texans are kind of coming off of the mini bye, played the Jets on Thursday night. They fell short in kind of what it was an ugly game, but we know that they are missing some weapons. Looking to hopefully get some of those weapons back. Stephon Diggs, of course, out for the season. Nico Collins may be activated off of IR. His status is still up in the air, so we can kind of navigate around that over time. The Lions, as we just mentioned, they traded for Zadarius Smith. Their offense is firing. They just beat their divisional foe and the Packers. So vibes are high. This team is on fire on the offensive side of the ball, almost seemingly unstoppable. So, BJ, game, Lions travel to Houston as a 3.5-point road favorite. I have some numbers here. I have the model projections, but before I get into that, Texans. Are you concerned about them at all? Or do you think this is a good spot for them to try and bounce back and prove to the world that they're still that team? What do you think?
I am concerned. I really am. I know the injury bug has bitten them pretty good, but I mean, CJ Stroud, against a Jets defense that hasn't performed like everyone thought they would, CJ Stroud had a bad game. I don't know what his completion percentage was. I think he only completed 11 passes or something like that. Granted, he only had Tank Dell and a bunch of random guys who I could beat probably. But I am very concerned about this team at this point. I really expected better things. I mean, what are they? 5-4, 6-3?
The Texans or
the Texans.
The Texans are
okay. Well, it looks good there, but I am concerned at this point, especially in this game facing the Lions, who can beat you in every way that they want to.
Yeah.
Literally any way they want, they can beat you, and their defense is shaping up and getting better. With Zadarius Smith, so I would be worried if I was a Texans fan in this game.
Yeah, here's the thing. My biggest concern with the Texans is their offensive line, mainly in pass protection. Right now, they are 24th overall in pressures allowed. That number looks a lot worse, because I filter out garbage time here. So, it could be worse. But if you watch on TV, there's really not a play where a passing play for the Texans where CJ Stroud's not looking like he's scrambling for his life. There's never a time, there's hardly a time where I watch a passing play and he's comfortable in the pocket. And so that is my biggest concern for this team. They're hemorrhaging pressure on passing plays. The line is now with Zadarius Smith coming over. That's a huge boost, but I have to say the Lions weren't exactly generating a ton of pressure. I mean, great defensive unit, but they're not like world beaters by any means. After they lost Aiden Hutchinson, he was kind of the sole generator of pressure. But now they have Zadarius Smith. We'll see. That is the biggest concern for me in this Houston Texans team. So watching this game, that's one thing I will be watching for. Even if they get Nico Collins back, Nico Collins will be a huge boost for this offense. But, if you want to have plays where he stretches the field, you got to have time. You got to have time. And so CJ Stroud is still capable of making big plays, especially outside of the pocket. So the offense will be there, but to what extent? That's my concern. And so I think this Detroit defense is also uber aggressive, and I wouldn't be surprised if they engaged it, every play. It's not a bad tactic. So Detroit offense, though, story of the year. I mean, my goodness, Jared Goff is playing at an MVP caliber right now. He is distributing the ball in a surgical way each game. Detroit offense, 3rd overall in EPA per play, 3rd overall in offensive success rate. If you pivot over to the Houston defense, they're 13th overall in EPA per play allowed, 7th overall in success rate allowed. So defense is there for the Texans. I'm not really concerned about the defense side of the ball. Will Anderson dodged a major injury, so he'll be back in play. Danielle Hunter is complimenting on the other side. They have Derek Stingley, one of the more robust corners. But it's almost like this Detroit offense is matchup proof. I mean, they are shredding teams. So we get to a point where it really is going to depend on the Houston offense. And can we be confident that they're going to generate any sort of production and be able to protect CJ Stroud in a game like this against the Lions. Beach. What's your take?
Yeah.
Who do you think prevails?
I think the Lions prevail. I think they cover. I don't think that they're going to be able to give him time for that, like you were saying. I think the Lions and the Ravens are like probably the top two teams in like gameplay right now in the league, and they're just shredding people. So I don't think that the Texans offense is going to be able to keep up with Detroit.
Yeah, and that pressure that we were talking about too, the Houston offense is it's there in a theoretical sense, but production wise, you look at what they've generated. They're 17th overall in EPA per play allowed, 26th overall in success rate allowed. So they're really generating more explosive plays, but they're not consistently doing it. So that's one thing that we're concerned about. They're not consistently, driving the ball. They're not consistently putting up plays that have 5-6 yards per play. They're 15th in the league in yards per play right now, so that makes sense. And so against this Lions defense, especially with the way Brian Branch has been playing as well, I mean, I have no reason to have any sort of confidence that the Texans are going to be able to do this. And one thing I wanted to also bring up are the model projections in this game as well. The model has the Lions as a 6-point favorite in this game against the Texans. So that kind of matches up and aligns with my concerns and my thoughts about this game. So I think the Lions continue to show their dominance, especially in primetime on the Sunday Night Football slate. If you were to take the Texans here, make your case, make your devil's advocate. What's your bull case for the Texans winning this game?
You can make that line secondary leaky again. I mean, quick throws.
Nico Collins being back.
Yeah, Nico Collins being back. It's going to be really difficult to stop the Lions.
Yeah.
So in order to, combat that, you have to generate more points on the offensive side for the Texans, which I just haven't seen. I think you need Nico back, and you need Nico back healthy to do that. We don't know how healthy he is at this point. I don't think it's very, very, very doable.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you need Nico back because if my game plan, I would kind of use the Lions game against themselves. Just feed Joe Mixon, ride him as much as I can, let him. He's absolutely dominating this year in the run game. So feed it to him and then leverage that play action game and stretch the field with Nico Collins where I can. So that's my game plan. If I'm trying to make a bull case for the Texans, they have the players to be able to do that. It's just, can this offensive line hold up and can they execute? So it's going to be a fun one. I am so glad that's Sunday Night Football game.